My name is Anthony Morrow, and today I'll be discussing your Miranda rights. So on November 16, 1931, Abraham Lincoln stated to the Golden Book magazine that it's better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. To me, this tells you that it's better to remain silent, and that way you're not accused of something that you're really not being charged with. Even though the Miranda rights wasn't applied at this time, it is still good to relate to the Miranda rights. So going back in history, Miranda versus Arizona, the gentleman was being charged with raping a woman, and one scenario was that a man took the woman to the outskirts of the city and ended up raping her. So a few days after that, Ernesto Miranda volunteered to go into the police station where he had heard that he was being accused of raping the women. They asked him if he would go into a police lineup, so he said that he would. He got multiple women that had been saying that they had been raped to identify the man if he was there that raped them. Multiple women accused Ernesto of raping them, and they went ahead and let him know that. After that, he ended up writing a confession saying that he had committed that crime. So, since he voluntarily came into the police department, he was not, or he was able to be charged and gave up his Miranda rights since he volunteered to come in. So the police do not have to always read you your Miranda rights if they feel like you're a threat to the public. If they have just witnessed you committing a crime or whatever, they do not have to immediately read your Miranda rights. They can go ahead and get you out of the way of the public. If you get pulled over at a traffic stop or at a police check, you are in most states required to give them your name and address. I've seen on Facebook on a couple of videos where people decide not to listen to them. But that can be obstruction to what they're trying to do, so they could go ahead and arrest you for resisting. And another scenario is the Boston bomber. They caught one of the brothers without having to kill him. They went ahead and asked him multiple questions for a couple of hours, trying to figure out if there was more people in the public that would harm him. So he was not read his Miranda rights until about 3 hours after questioning, and then after that, they went ahead and charged him with the crime of the Boston bomb. So the U.S. Constitution, the Fifth Amendment helps or backs up the your Miranda rights. It is the main key from it is self-incrimination. Self-incrimination is whenever you say something that will hurt yourself. So this prevents you from doing that. Gives you your right to a counsel, which is your Sixth Amendment, is your right to counsel. You have the right to have an attorney there to discuss it, so they can help you to better calm down and understand what's going on and what you need to say, so you don't get yourself in further trouble. Also, in the Sixth Amendment is due process. This is your legal rights. Every citizen has their own legal rights. That way, police don't have a chance to accuse you of something you never did. So the Terry stop is when a police officer can stop you and pat you down if they believe that you are they have suspicion of you doing something. This goes back to the case Terry versus Ohio, where an undercover police officer was just out on duty, where he noticed that two gentlemen were looking suspicious. They had walked back and forth past a store, and he kept watching them for a couple hours whenever he noticed a third party came up and started talking to him also. So after that, he walked up to the two gentlemen, trying to figure out what was going on, and then he used his right to pat them down. When he did this, he found a gun on both of the gentlemen, so in court he was able to charge them with concealed carry, which they didn't have a permit for. So even though he wasn't able to charge them with their crime of robbing the store, he was still able to charge them with something because they both had weapons on them. And that could have been also bad for the public. So your Miranda rights are that you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or do can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you. And then they'll ask you if you understand your rights. You do not have to speak to the police officer. But if you choose not to proceed in answering the questions, you need to let them know that you want to assert your Miranda right and that you would like to talk to your attorney. If you choose not to and you just choose to be quiet, they can continue to ask you questions nonstop without breaking any of your rights. One case that I found out was Burgess versus Tompkins. This gentleman, they had charged him with shooting a person. He chose not to answer any questions when they arrested him, but they did read him his Miranda rights. He went without saying anything at all, never told him that he wanted a right to counsel. He just chose to be quiet. And then after a few hours, they asked him if he believed in God, and he replied yes. And they said, "Do you pray?" He replied yes. And they said, "Do you ask God to forgive you, or pray to God to forgive you for shooting the person?" And he said yes. So after this, they were able to charge him with shooting somebody because he gave up his Miranda rights. So just a quick reminder, if you ever get arrested, know your rights. Know that they are supposed to read you Miranda rights if they plan on interrogating you. And if you choose to be quiet, they can continue to ask you questions, but make sure you have your lawyer present. Thank you.